Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel Zoya Creation. If you're new here, make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our jaw-dropping stories. Trust me, you won't want to miss what we've got for you today. Now, hold on to your seats because today's story is unlike anything you've heard before. It's all about a disabled female veteran who was targeted by bullies thinking she was just another helpless victim. But boy, were they wrong. They had no idea they were messing with a professional killer. That's right, a highly trained combat specialist, hiding in plain sight. They picked the wrong person to mess with. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. Alex Winters, a former combat specialist, now lives a quiet, unassuming life in Pine Valley, Montana. To the people in this small town, she's just another disabled veteran in a wheelchair, blending in seamlessly with the community. Most people don't know that beneath her calm and humble exterior lies one of the most dangerous women you'll ever encounter. The wheelchair she uses? It's not just a symbol of the past, it's the perfect cover. Alex has spent years perfecting the art of playing weak, letting the world think she's no longer capable of the warrior she once was. But that's the genius of her disguise. No one expects the quiet woman in the chair to be a trained killer, an undercover FBI agent with a mission so high stakes it could unravel a massive criminal empire. Flashbacks to her military past reveal the truth. Alex wasn't always a woman in a wheelchair. She was once a highly skilled combat specialist, a force to be reckoned with on the front lines. Her past is filled with missions, danger, and sacrifice. But one fateful day in Afghanistan, everything changed. During an operation designed to protect civilians from an IED threat, an explosion ripped through Alex's world. The blast took her legs, but it didn't take her spirit. Despite the brutal injury, Alex saved the lives of 12 children that day, a hero to some. But to Alex, just doing her job. The military awarded her medals, but no one knew the real cost of her service. After her recovery, Alex was given a new mission, an undercover operation with the FBI, targeting the Red Dragons, one of the most notorious motorcycle gangs in the Pacific Northwest. They were involved in a multi-million-dollar weapons trafficking ring, and Alex's military background made her the perfect candidate for the job, with her disability as the ultimate cover. No one would suspect that a disabled woman in a wheelchair could infiltrate the gang, gather intel, and bring them down from the inside. And so, she found herself in Pine Valley, living a quiet life. To the outside world, Alex was just another small-town resident, but in reality, she was far from ordinary. She was living among the enemy, patiently biding her time, all while preparing for the day she would strike. The Red Dragons had no idea the woman they thought was weak was actually the one they should fear most. It was just another quiet afternoon at the local cafe in Pine Valley, a place Alex had frequented for years. She was sitting alone at her usual table, sipping her coffee, when the door swung open. 5 members of the Red Dragons, a notorious motorcycle gang, strolled in, clearly looking for trouble. They hadn't noticed her at first, but once they did, the sneers began. Alex, the woman in the wheelchair, was an easy target for their amusement. They saw her as weak, vulnerable. To them, she was nothing more than a sitting duck, ripe for the picking. One by one, the bikers surrounded her. Their leader, Marcus the Snake Wilson, towered over her, laughing as he mocked her in front of the whole cafe. They taunted her, pushed her chair around, and even spilled her groceries all over the floor. The laughter of the gang members echoed in the small space. But Alex remained calm. She kept her eyes locked on Marcus, her fingers lightly gripping the edge of her chair. She didn't flinch. But inside, something shifted. This wasn't just a random group of bullies. These men had no idea who they were dealing with. Marcus, seeing her lack of reaction, decided to push further. He stepped closer, his foul-smelling breath mixing with the lingering scent of cigarettes and cheap whiskey. With a malicious grin, he laid a heavy hand on her shoulder. The physical touch meant to break her spirit, but in that moment, everything changed. Without warning, Alex moved like lightning. In the blink of an eye, 3 of the bikers hit the ground. One of them knocked unconscious, another with a twisted arm, and the third immobilized with a single, well-placed strike. The fight was over before it even began. Marcus, stunned and caught off guard, barely had time to react before he found himself staring down the barrel of his own gun, held firmly in Alex's hand. The cafe fell silent. The remaining red dragons stood frozen, the realization of what had just happened sinking in. Alex, calm and collected, looked directly at Marcus, her voice cutting through the still air. "You will regret this," she said, her words sending a chill down his spine. As Alex pushed her chair back into position, the gang's bravado quickly dissolved. One by one, the bikers retreated, their arrogance replaced by fear. They had no idea who they had just crossed, but they would soon learn that the woman in the wheelchair was not someone to be underestimated. As the red dragons retreated, still rattled by the unexpected confrontation, Alex's calm demeanor masked something much more dangerous beneath the surface. It wasn't just her wheelchair that made her seem vulnerable. It was her perfect cover. Behind the facade of a disabled veteran was one of the most skilled combat specialists the FBI had ever trained. Alex Winters wasn't just another civilian in Pine Valley. She was a highly trained FBI agent, and the Red Dragons were her current target. The confrontation in the cafe wasn't a random act of violence. It was part of a much larger plan. Back in her small ranch house on the outskirts of town, Alex settled into her workspace, a hidden nook behind a false wall in her bedroom. Her fingers moved quickly as she scanned intelligence reports and weapon shipment schedules. The Red Dragons were just a small part of a vast criminal empire trafficking weapons, some of the most advanced military-grade hardware, across the Pacific Northwest. And Alex had been embedded in Pine Valley for over 3 years, quietly gathering intel, waiting for the perfect moment to bring them down. Her phone buzzed. Agent Cooper. Alex answered, her voice cool but resolute. "Cooper, it's done. I got the intel on their operation, but I need more time. The weapons shipment is coming soon, and the Red Dragons are getting sloppy. They're too confident." Cooper's voice crackled through the line. "I know. Alex, this shipment is the one we've been waiting for. We can't afford any mistakes, especially now that Marcus and his crew are getting cocky. But you've got to be careful. They'll be watching you more closely now." Alex glanced at the picture of Pine Valley's quiet streets out her window. The town still saw her as the friendly, disabled veteran. To them, she was just another face in the crowd. Nobody knew the real reason she was here. No one knew that her wheelchair wasn't a symbol of weakness, but a perfect disguise for someone who had spent years in the shadows, learning how to be invisible. The small-town innocence of Pine Valley was her greatest asset. She could move freely, unnoticed by the Red Dragons. No one thought twice about the woman in the wheelchair, and that allowed Alex to gather critical intel on their operations. Every conversation, every whispered plan, Alex heard it all, and they never suspected her. She used the town's perception of her to her advantage. As long as the gang thought she was just a helpless veteran, they would never see her coming. They were careless with their operations, making small but dangerous mistakes. Mistakes that Alex, with her military training and sharp instincts, was able to exploit. But as the clock ticked down to the big weapon shipment, Alex knew time was running out. Her mission was close to reaching its climax. And with every passing day, the Red Dragons grew more confident, underestimating her more and more. Little did they know, the woman they had mocked and harassed in that cafe was about to bring their empire crashing down. The Red Dragons, fueled by the false belief that they had intimidated Alex into submission, made their next move. This time, they were even more confident, eager to assert their dominance over her. The gang had no idea they were about to make a critical mistake. It was a typical afternoon at the local cafe, a place where Alex had become a regular, blending seamlessly into the fabric of Pine Valley. Jenny, the cafe owner, greeted her as she entered, offering her usual coffee. But today, the tension in the air was palpable. The moment Alex wheeled in, the familiar hum of motorcycles outside signaled the arrival of the gang, Marcus, along with a few more Red Dragons in tow. Alex's heart rate remained steady. She'd anticipated this. The gang had a new tactic this time: intimidation. They wanted to push her out of town, but Alex, ever the tactician, remained calm, her eyes never betraying the deadly focus beneath her composed exterior. She wasn't about to fall for their threats. Back for more? Alex's voice was steady, almost casual, as she watched Marcus swagger up to her table. He grinned as he leaned down close, mocking her once again. "You didn't take the hint last time. Huh, you don't belong here, lady." Alex simply met his gaze, not flinching, not reacting. This wasn't the first time they'd tried to push her, and it wouldn't be the last. She had learned that sometimes playing weak was the smartest strategy. She needed them to feel like they had the upper hand, to grow overconfident, to think they could walk all over her. The gang began to make their threats louder, attempting to intimidate Alex by making a scene in the middle of the cafe. The other patrons, sensing the tension, quietly began to slip out of the cafe, leaving behind only Jenny at the counter. Jenny had become one of Alex's few trusted allies. She was aware of Alex's true mission, and over the course of their friendship, she provided valuable intel that had helped Alex track the gang's movements. "Just get out of our town, Alex," Marcus spat, his breath laced with cheap whiskey. He grabbed the back of her chair, spinning her around forcefully. "Leave, or things will get a lot worse for you." But Alex stayed calm, letting them push her to the edge. Knowing it was all part of her plan, she played along with their threats, allowing them to think they were wearing her down. Every word they said, every taunt they threw her way, only fueled her desire for revenge. She wasn't going anywhere, and soon they would realize just how dangerous they'd made a serious mistake by underestimating her. Jenny shot her a glance from across the room. Alex gave a slight nod. Her ally was already on top of it. The intel Jenny was gathering was priceless. She wasn't just a cafe owner. She was a part of Alex's operation now. As the gang left, thinking they had finally broken her, Alex's mind raced. She wasn't about to make a move yet. The weapons shipment was coming in soon, and Alex knew her time to strike was almost here. But first, she had to let the Red Dragons believe they had control. By the time they realized the truth, it would be too late. The day of the big weapon bust had finally arrived, and Alex Winters knew the Red Dragons' reign was about to end. She had been tracking their movements for months, waiting for this moment, and now the time had come to take them down. The weapons shipment was en route, and Alex was ready. But she wasn't just preparing for another raid. This was the culmination of everything she had worked for, every calculated move she had made. Mentally, Alex steeled herself for the final confrontation. She knew how dangerous the Red Dragons were. This wasn't just about bringing down a gang. It was about dismantling a multi-million-dollar weapons trafficking operation that spanned across the region. But she wasn't the scared, vulnerable veteran that they had mocked. She was a force to be reckoned with. And today, she would prove it. In the weeks leading up to this operation, Alex had carefully assembled a team of trusted local allies. Jenny, the cafe owner, had become a key player in the operation, assisting with gathering crucial intel and providing support when needed. She was more than just a civilian. She was an integral part of Alex's plan. Her knowledge of the town and its inhabitants made her the perfect insider, capable of spreading false information to mislead the Red Dragons. Alex wasn't taking any chances. Every detail had been meticulously planned. The ambush was set. The weapon shipment, which was supposed to be a routine exchange, was about to be intercepted. Alex knew the Red Dragons were expecting things to go smoothly, and she wanted them to think they were still in control right until the very end. She prepped herself physically, double-checking her wheelchair's modifications and ensuring her combat gear was in place. Over the past few years, she had adapted her military training to work from her wheelchair, turning what others saw as a disability into a powerful advantage. Each movement was practiced, precise. Her wheelchair wasn't just for mobility. It was a weapon, a tool that she had turned into a combat platform. The day dragged on, but Alex remained focused. She worked with Jenny to make sure the gang was distracted, spreading misinformation, creating diversions, and feeding false intel to keep the Red Dragons off guard. By the time the weapon shipment arrived, they would be walking right into her trap. As night fell, Alex wheeled herself to her designated position, hidden in the shadows. She wasn't alone. Her team was spread out, ready to execute the plan. Jenny was stationed at the cafe, ensuring that the gang would think Alex was still out of town, giving them the false sense of security they needed to make their move. The tension in the air was thick as Alex surveyed the scene through her tactical display. The Red Dragons were about to walk right into the carefully laid ambush. They thought they were in control, but Alex had already anticipated their every move. When the shipment finally arrived at the lumber yard, the Red Dragons moved in, confident that they would secure the weapons without interference. Little did they know, their operation was already compromised. As they began unloading, Alex struck with precision. Her wheelchair glided silently through the shadows, her movements swift and calculated. In less than a few seconds, the tables turned. The gang was caught off guard, and Alex used her skills and her environment to her advantage. The Red Dragons, overconfident and underestimating her, soon realized they had made a fatal mistake. Their leader, Marcus, tried to take control of the situation, barking orders and attempting to rally his men. But it was too late. Alex was already ahead of them, her calculated strikes taking down their enforcers one by one. They tried to retreat, but every escape route had already been blocked. Alex's team, along with the local law enforcement, moved in swiftly, neutralizing the remaining threat. As Marcus found himself on the ground, pinned by Alex's grip, he looked up in disbelief. The powerful gang leader, who had terrorized the town, now faced a woman he had so badly underestimated with a chilling smile. Alex leaned in, whispering, "You will regret this." In that moment, the Red Dragons knew they had made a grave error. They had messed with the wrong woman, and as the weapons bust came to a successful close, Alex Winters knew she had taken down one of the largest weapons trafficking operations in the Pacific Northwest, and she had done it with grace, skill, and the strength that came from overcoming adversity. As Alex begins to dismantle the Red Dragon's weapons trafficking operation, she feels a moment of victory, but little does she know, her battle is far from over. Just as the gang's empire begins to crumble, A new and far more dangerous player emerges from the shadows, Rebecca Harris. The architect behind the true operation, Rebecca isn't just another criminal. She's a former CIA operative who has turned rogue, now in control of a vast underground network that traffics in weapons, mercenaries, and, most shockingly, people. She has built an entire private military force. Using her twisted philosophy that true strength is born from disability, she doesn't see disabilities as something to be overcome. Instead, she believes they are a tool to enhance military power. To Rebecca, injuries aren't just setbacks. They are opportunities to force soldiers to evolve, to adapt in ways no able-bodied soldier ever could. Rebecca's twisted vision becomes clear as she reveals her beliefs to Alex. Through secret programs and experiments, she has been intentionally causing injuries to soldiers, transforming them into the ultimate war machines. Her goal is not just to sell weapons or create a powerful army. She's trying to engineer a new breed of soldier, one who operates with a perceived weakness, but in reality, becomes stronger and more adaptable than traditional forces. And Alex, with her resilience and skills, is the ultimate proof of her theory. To Rebecca, Alex's every move, every adaptation, is nothing more than the outcome of a controlled experiment. Rebecca views Alex as the prototype for this new form of evolution in warfare. She believes that Alex's struggle, her transformation from a victim into a powerful force, proves her theory that soldiers with disabilities can be made superior to able-bodied warriors. She sees Alex's strength and adaptability as nothing more than the result of her work, something she herself created. But for Alex, this is a slap in the face. The years of adapting to her disability, the personal sacrifices, the battles fought, these were her own struggles, not some twisted experiment. The architect, as Rebecca has come to be known, sees the world through the lens of her philosophy. Where people are reduced to mere subjects in a grand experiment, she truly believes that if she can prove her theory, that disabilities can be engineered into strengths, she can change the entire face of military power. She is willing to sacrifice anyone to prove her point, using soldiers as pawns in her sick game of evolution. But Alex isn't about to let herself become another test subject, another victim in Rebecca's cruel experiment. As she listens to Rebecca speak, the rage inside Alex builds. This isn't just about stopping a weapons ring or dismantling a criminal empire. It's personal now. Rebecca has not only threatened her life, she's insulted everything Alex has fought for. Her disability isn't a tool for evolution. It's part of who she is, and she isn't going to let Rebecca turn that into a weapon. The battle between Alex and Rebecca isn't just one of physical strength. It's a battle of ideologies, where Rebecca sees power in adaptation by force. Alex believes true strength lies in embracing who you are, not in the manipulation of the body and mind for gain. As Rebecca's mercenaries close in, Alex prepares to fight back, knowing that this fight is about much more than survival. It's about showing the world that true power can't be engineered. It has to be earned. As Alex and her team of disabled veterans move to execute the final phase of their operation, they infiltrate the quantum facility, Rebecca Harris's hidden stronghold. This facility houses not only weapons, but also the architect's most classified research files and experiments. Inside, Alex and her team face not just mercenaries, but a chilling testament to Rebecca's twisted philosophy. From the moment they enter, Alex immediately notices how the facility has been designed around a brutal logic, the same logic Rebecca has used to manipulate the lives of soldiers. Every inch of the building, every tactical layout, is based on the belief that disability should be used as an advantage. It's as if the facility was built with Alex herself in mind. Corridors, access points, and security systems all designed around the same principle that has driven Rebecca's experiments. Adaptation through enforced weakness. Alex's heart races as she takes in the full scale of the operation. The architect hasn't just been recruiting soldiers. She's been building an army, each member carefully chosen and trained to harness their disabilities as strategic strengths. Every veteran in Rebecca's army has been modified to suit a specific purpose, each one tailored to be an unstoppable force in combat. Thanks to her perverse view of human evolution, this is more than just an underground operation. It's a military revolution waiting to erupt. But as Alex and her team navigate through the facility, the tension is palpable. Each step closer to the heart of the facility brings them face to face with the very soldiers Rebecca has trained. They are dangerous, deadly, and most frightening of all, exactly like Alex. They have learned to harness their disabilities, turning them into lethal weapons. But what sets Alex apart is the one thing Rebecca never accounted for. Alex's belief that true strength doesn't come from engineering adaptations. It comes from the choices you make, the strength you choose to find. No matter the circumstances, the final confrontation looms. As Alex approaches Rebecca's command center, she comes face to face with her old mentor turned bitter enemy. Rebecca, standing tall with her prosthetics gleaming, reveals the full scope of her work. She's not just building an army, she's reshaping the entire future of warfare. She's convinced that by forcing soldiers to adapt through injuries and disabilities, she's creating a stronger, more efficient fighting force. For Alex, the weight of this moment is overwhelming. She's forced to confront not only Rebecca's vision for the future, but her own beliefs about strength and survival. What does true strength mean? Is it overcoming the odds with an engineered disadvantage? Or is it something deeper? Something that can't be artificially created? As the two women, both disabled veterans, prepare to clash, Alex must decide. Will she fight to protect the world from Rebecca's warped vision? Or will she be forced to become part of a system that seeks to control and manipulate those like her? This isn't just a battle for survival. It's a battle for identity, for the true meaning of strength. In the heart of the quantum facility, the final fight will determine whether the architect's twisted evolution will triumph, or whether Alex will prove that the real power lies not in engineering weakness, but in embracing who you truly are. The real battle begins now. The final confrontation is upon them. The tension in the room is thick as Alex faces Rebecca Harris, the architect who has spent years manipulating others, twisting her philosophy of adaptation into a tool for control. But Alex is no longer the vulnerable woman in the wheelchair that Rebecca once thought she could mold into a perfect weapon. She's not just a survivor. She's a fighter, with a power that comes from within, a strength that can't be engineered. In the heart of the quantum facility, the two women face each other. Alex, having spent years honing her ground-based combat techniques, uses her adaptive style to strike with precision. Her combat movements are fluid, honed by necessity, not design. Rebecca, with her advanced prosthetics and military training, is skilled, but she's underestimated the power of true resilience. As the battle rages, it's clear that Alex is using her own mind, body, and spirit in a way Rebecca never could. Rebecca tries to use her advantages, but she's playing by a set of rules that Alex has already mastered. In the end, Alex's movements are faster, sharper, and more unpredictable. She knows that true strength doesn't lie in the ability to control others. It lies in the ability to empower people to find their own path. It's in Alex's belief that no one, no matter their condition, should ever be underestimated, and it's in that belief that she triumphs. With a decisive blow, Alex takes Rebecca down, her mentor turned adversary realizing too late that her vision of engineered perfection was never truly the answer. True strength isn't about control or forcing others to adapt. It's about the freedom to choose how you adapt and use your own power. As Rebecca lies defeated, she understands the one thing she never grasped, that Alex's strength wasn't in her injuries, but in the way she chose to rise above them every single day. Meanwhile, Jenny, once recruited by Rebecca and influenced by her twisted logic, watches the fight unfold. She sees the true power in Alex's actions and comes to her senses. She realizes the truth, that the ability to choose, to embrace one's own journey, is the key to true adaptation. She joins Alex's side, turning her back on the architect and everything she stood for. Alex doesn't stop at just defeating the architect. She makes sure that everything Rebecca built crumbles. With all the evidence secured, Alex ensures that the architect's operation is dismantled once and for all. The dark network that threatens so many lives is destroyed, and with it, the perverse philosophy that disabled veterans were tools to be exploited. As the dust settles, Alex stands victorious, not just as a survivor, but as a living testament to the idea that strength comes from within. No one can control or manipulate that, and no disability can ever take it away. The architect's twisted vision is gone, and in its place stands a new understanding of what true adaptation means: the power to choose your own path, no matter the obstacles in your way. As the dust settles, Alex takes a quiet moment to reflect on her journey, from a disabled veteran who thought her life had ended on the battlefield, to becoming an undercover FBI agent who dismantled an international criminal syndicate. Her transformation is nothing short of remarkable. She's gone from being underestimated to becoming a force to be reckoned with, proving that true strength comes not from physical power, but from the resilience and determination to rise above any obstacle. The federal agents secure the remaining suspects, and Alex's team of disabled veterans, each one once written off, proves that they are stronger than anyone could have imagined. Their victory is a message to the world. Strength isn't always about how you look or how you're perceived. It's about your mindset, your choices, and your ability to adapt when the world expects you to fail. Alex's final words resonate as she watches her team stand tall. It's not about being the strongest physically. It's about knowing when to adapt and turn your weaknesses into strengths. The journey she's taken has not only transformed her life, but has inspired those around her to see their own strength, no matter the circumstances. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thrilling tales. Until next time, the screen fades to black, leaving viewers inspired and eager for more.